Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Life of Kaiser. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh my goodness, it's late because it did get posted last week. Now, you would be absolutely correct with that, but I was off to a convention. So I went off to Tidewater Comic Con, and that's why I wasn't able to post anything, because I was really trying to get ready for that show. But I wanted to make sure that I got one out today, and then I can do another one for this week as well. So we're not actually going to miss the week's episode, but it's just a little bit late. So hopefully you can deal with that, and hopefully you'll forgive me for doing that. And I didn't have anything pre-planned, because I really do try and make this Life of Kaiser as me talking to you at that moment, right? So I didn't want to do anything like, hey guys, and I talk to you and then pre-record it and then give it to you. I don't want to do that, at least not for this. This is not that thing, right? So, and that's why I want to make sure that we don't do that, okay? Okay. So, the big thing that happened all last week was definitely getting ready for Tidewater Comic Con. Like I said, I was a last minute addition as a pro guest, which was great. And then I was able to get a table. I took baby with me, and we had set up to, we shared a table together, and she debuted her new jewelry that she's doing, which was a huge hit there. And I brought, issue 0 and was telling people about issue 1 and stuff like that. And the show was great. Like, I have to say that I really do enjoy Tidewater. It was packed all the way up until like the last hour of both days. So it was a really nice show, very well attended. The two panels that I did, Character Design 101 and World Building 101, they were both well attended. They were very engaged. It was great. Like, I loved the energy that was coming from the panels and from the people there. It's very lighthearted, even though it was super hot in Virginia. It was very muggy, and therefore outside was kind of bleh. But inside it was very cool. They had the air conditioner cranking, and it was just a good time. It was a nice time. If you've never been to Tidewater Comic Con, I highly recommend that you check it out, especially if you're in the area. It's not a huge show, but like I said, it was well attended. The vibe is great. The cosplay was fun. I even got to see RoboCop, which is really the only one that I snapped a picture of, because it was RoboCop. So so that was cool. At Tidewater, I was able to meet and talk with Bart Sears, which was really nice. Him and his Brutes and Babes tutorial set, which, when I was growing up, going into college and stuff like that, it was always in Wizard, and it was really nice to see and talk to the guy. He was really down to earth. It was really, really nice to talk to him. So that was, the highlight of the convention itself was definitely being able to talk to Bart Sears and make that new connection and stuff like that. So that was really cool. I also met the co-owner of Atlantic Comic Con, which I'll be going to towards the end of August. So that was really nice. They came by, they said hi, introduced themselves, tell me what they were trying to do with their show. It's a new show. I believe this is their third year doing it, or second or third year, so they're fairly new, and I love to be able to support up and coming conventions, trying to make them bigger and stuff like that. It's also down in the Hampton Roads area, and so we're gonna go right back down to close to where Tidewater is. It's in Norfolk, Virginia. If you are in the area, definitely come on by. Atlantic Comic Con is gonna be really fun. I think that you should definitely check it out. And I'm hoping by Atlantic Comic Con I will have issue 1 in my hands. So if you are in the area, you can get your hands on issue 1 pretty much hot off the presses, because that's about the time where it's going to be really tight. Like, if they come in, it's going to come in right under the wire, and then I'll be able to get everything out on Kickstarter and still be able to go to Atlantic Comic Con with the new products. That's what we're hoping. We're hoping for that. Now, I also got to talk to Mike. What's his last? I don't want to get his last name wrong. Mike Hathorne. I got to talk to Mike Hathorne, the artist. He did this cool book called Gang of One, right? And it was really interesting to me. I was like, oh, that seems really fun. So I wanted to go ahead and grab that. We talked for a little bit. We talked about watercolor, and he was like, get yourself a hairdryer, right? And I'm like, I knew people did that. He's like, look, every watercolor artist that I liked or that I would say is really good, they have a hairdryer in their arsenal to make sure that they can dry it. And he's like, based on talking with you, you seem like you would like straight lines, and so really crisp, sharp lines. So you're gonna want to do wet on dry to make that happen. And I was like, okay, so I'm probably gonna go out and buy me some cheap hair dryer so that I can have it, because waiting for stuff to dry has been an issue, and I want to make sure that I can try and get new stuff because I like watercolor and I want to try to do new things. I saw something. I was at the library and I saw a comic book that was done with watercolor, and it looked like they were just, they did the shapes with the watercolor, and then they're like, yep, that's it. And they put some quick lines on it, and it was like, I'm done. And I was like, that's really interesting. So I wanted to try it, right? So I'm gonna try something new. And like I said, I went to the library. And by the way, if you're not going to the library, go to the library. There's a lot of free stuff at the library. Go to the library. I picked up this Chinese watercolor techniques. So I want to try something different where it literally isn't like the watercolor is the star, not the ink line. So I wanted to try that. Thought that was cool. Then I got this figure drawing, like old school watercolor figure drawing. So I'm hoping they'll be able to show me something with that. Also, no lines, right? So I want to try and make it so my watercolor can work without lines, and then to see if I need to add it, right? Because this is the stuff that I normally do, right? It's still very cartoony, but it's a watercolor thing. I like this. Like I said, this is the last one I did. I really like the style. I think it's nice, but it doesn't say watercolor to me. And that's what I'm striving for. I want something that's going to be watercolor for me. So it is very selfish as far as where we're going with that. But I mean, I could do this, right? I'm really happy with this. Makes me really happy. Especially with the style with the like extra lines. It's a little bit more messy and stuff like that. So really like that, but still want it to be watercolor for me. Then watercolor wise, right? And I picked up a book, big old graphic novel from David Mack. Obviously, if you don't know, David Mack does a lot of watercolor. So after talking to him, I figured, you know what, why don't we try and maybe we can replicate some of the watercolors that he's doing. And then just because they had it, I went ahead and picked up another compendium of Invincible, because they have some gruesome deaths in there, and Ryan Otley knows how to destroy people. So I really want to be able to pick up on that, because I want you to know, when it comes to Ninja Empire, it's not a kid-friendly book, and some of the deaths are going to be gruesome. Like our main character is very, very angry. So gonna pick up things, trying to pick up some tips from some of the greats on how to do what I'm trying to accomplish, right? Then also, still at the library, go to your local library. They have some really cool stuff, and they would love your support. But as an educator, I have been really, really hounding myself to try and find like a how-to book that is a good how-to book. Like, from teaching art to picking up these books, like I pick up how-to books all the time just to see what people are actually getting away with as far as what they're saying how-to books are. And I picked up a couple new ones that I haven't officially walked through to try and give you like, oh, this is a good book. and these are not. But I figured maybe I should stop complaining about it and actually make a good how-to book from, learning how to draw from the basic shapes all the way up to having a solid character design, but actually teaching you how to draw, not how to draw like me, right? Like don't draw your vampire like me or your werewolf like me, but let's talk about how to draw fur and then animals and stuff like that, and you can put that together. And that kind of paired with the idea of the workbook that I want to do, I think that would be a nice little teaching book, right? It's like, here's this book, here's the workbook that goes with it, right? Chapter 1 is about hands, right? And so when you look into chapter 1, then you can take the workbook of hands and then you can just practice, right? Yes, you could do that on a sketchbook. Yes, you can do it on spare paper and all that kind of good stuff. But sometimes you just need something to look at and go, this is what it looks like. This is how you should draw it, right? Like if it's at this angle, use these shapes to build that hand, right? Sometimes you just need the visual to help you along. And I think that would be a really cool thing. So at the library, I picked up some books, right? I picked up this one, Draw Like a Mangaka. I figured this might be a real good book to check out to see if this one's any good. Because, especially with my students and everything, they all want to be manga artists, so let's see, especially since it says from Master Manga with Marcel Kuhn, and hopefully they are a mangaka. But if not, it's going to be interesting to try that out. And then while I was looking at books, there was I would say a high school student who was there looking through the books too, and I moved out of the way so they could actually see what they're doing, and then I was asking them about stuff. They asked me if I wanted to actually learn how to draw, and I had to tell them who I was, and then what I was planning on doing, which was trying to do this art book. And I picked up this one, and they're like, oh, I have that book. And they reached in their bag, and they're like, they had it. And I was like, oh, is it any good? They said yes, so I picked it up. I have no idea if it's any good, but here it is, I picked it up. And then the last book that I picked up is Stan Lee's Masterclass. So I really want to see how far the teachings have come as far as how to draw Marvel the Marvel way, how to draw comics the Marvel way, and see what has changed. Obviously time has gone by and all that kind of good stuff, and while this book is still kind of on the older side, I would like to see what's there, right? So I really want to make sure that I can start picking up some of the traits of the best books that's out there, and then compile a book that will actually help people how to draw. Like, I think that's really something that's missing, as well as having the companion workbooks to go with it, because it's one thing to be like, hey, here's a scribble, now I've made some boxes, and now I have Spider-Man, and you're like, wait, there's some steps that got missed, right? And the steps that got missed were explained in 2 sentences, and it was like, oh, learn how to do details, and you're like, wait, I picked up this book because I don't know how to do details. I don't know what that means. I don't know anything like that. So I'm looking at putting together a book to help, because I did the character design worksheets and workbooks, which I think is really good. If you don't know them, they're up on Amazon, right? They're a nice little character turnaround sheet that you can make your own characters with. It's in blue line. That way you can knock out the color really easily on the computer, and you can actually have your own characters. And I thought that was a good start, but I do believe we need to produce a book that's really going to be helpful. And so that's kind of going to be something that I attempt while at school, and see if that is, I can also run it by my students, see what they're looking for and stuff like that. So at least I have a captive audience for the target demographic, right? And I'm very excited about that, to be honest. I wanted something more academic, something more educational to work on. A, because it looks good for my teaching job, but B, because I really, really do like the idea of being able to help people, help younger artists be able to jump into what we do, or, and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I did last week, right? Came to the decision that I want to do this how-to book finally, not a theory book, but literally this is how you would draw a hand and stuff like that. And I went to Tidewater Comic Con, which was awesome. And yeah, it's time to really start jumping into getting Ninja Empire on a motion, right? Because the Kickstarter really did kind of halt a lot of stuff, especially since the first one didn't fund, and it was like, kind of put a stop to a lot of things I was doing. But I'm after this convention that just happened, which is Tidewater. I have the month of July is pretty open, and so I'm hoping to really start steamrolling the idea of making Ninja Empire the focus of my artistic creativity, and that way we can actually get more and more stuff done, right? And with that said, I'm actually also looking to change the setup that I have for conventions. I love going to conventions and looking at other people's ideas and their crafty thought processes and going, wow, that's really cool, like that's a great idea, or wow, that's really cool, that's a great idea. And so I'm gonna start actually thumbnailing out what exactly I would like to have and try and do something a little different. And with that said, because I like my setup, I really do. But looking at what other people have, and they're going up a lot more of those storage bins, right? Where it's going up, and they kind of building like a storefront. But I don't think I want a storefront. I think I want more of the idea of a store, right? And like give it. I know that probably sounds really weird, but the other ones, they just seem like they're building a wall with a hole in it, and you get to look through the little hole that talks to someone. But I want mine to be more of an interactive, not interactive, but like visually interactive display. So the actual display is something that's interesting in and of itself, and then the artwork and merch and stuff like that is also interesting, right? So I want the display to be a character as well as all the artwork and stuff like that. Right, so playing off of the environment, trying to make it interesting so that people go, I want to come and see what's over there. So I will be working on stuff like that because I think it's time. I also need to get a new banner, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff coming, a lot of stuff. So if you are not part of my Patreon, right, you should go there, because starting in January 1st, I'm going to be annoying everyone on Patreon with just information, behind the scenes stuff. And I was like, you know what, I think that I've been holding on to stuff too long, thinking, oh, nobody really wants to know this, nobody really wants to see this. And I think that that's kind of what Patreon is for, the more I look into it. So, I'm going to be doing like, hey, this is what I did today. I did this drawing, or I did this doodle, and this is why this is important, or I bought this, or hey, the bags came in, or something, just really trying to make that connection with the people who are supporting me. So if you are not part of Patreon, please head on over to my Patreon. I have it set so you can sign up for free. I do put stuff out there for free, but there are some exclusive things that you get if you actually monetarily support it. But either way, would love for you to be part of the Patreon Ninja Empire community, because I ask them a lot of questions about stuff like, what should I do here? How can I create this character? Or what weapon should I use? What color should it be? So I do ask them a lot of things to make them feel more connected with the product. So if you want to be connected with the product, please go check out my Patreon. I'll make sure to have the link below. But 100% check me out, because I think you would like what's there. Okay? If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified every single time that I drop new content. If you have already done that, thank you all so very much. You guys are the reason why I keep going. So thank you for your support. And if you have any suggestions, anything you want to talk about, drop it in the comments below, and I will make sure to get to it with our next video. All right? Once again, thank you so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.